Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan questioning Trump's first assassination attempt, still asking those questions. I know he doesn't like to be labeled as a conservative, but it's something even few conservative media outlets are still doing. I'm one of them. There's a few out there. Somebody told me about the quartering as well, is still asking questions. Good on you, sir. So we're gonna get into that, and then this clip prompted me to find some more, and I found Tucker Carlson sitting down with JD Vance, and JD Vance is also asking questions still, but he's pointing the gaze of whose fault this is in a different direction than everybody else has been. Everybody else has been looking at the media and saying, hey, the media memory hold this whole thing, but who's the media connected to? Who's the media directly connected to? Who's the media directly connected to this person who cackles and smiles and is bringing communism and price controls to the world? Do you know who I'm talking about? I'm talking about Tucker Carlson. No, of course not. I'm talking about Kamala Harris. I want you to hear what JD Vance has to say about this whole thing. It's very interesting. And then I'm going to play a clip from Melania Trump as well. But let's get into the Joe Rogan clip first. Let's go.
Everybody was upset that she was on the ticket, and my God, if Joe Biden dies and she becomes president, people were freaking out. Now all of a sudden everybody's like, yes, she should be president.
That's also wearing off, though. I mean, that's.
You think so? I don't think so.
She doesn't have. They were able to make her into a sensation, a political sensation, for about a month. I don't think she has that anymore. I don't think people are. Because you can hype somebody up and you can turn them into the next political savior through really good branding. They did that with Obama, but you got to have something. There has to be something. They at least have to have charisma. I mean, Obama had charisma, so you at least have to have that. If you have a politician who has charisma, then the media can come in and they can do the rest, and they can turn you into.
Well, she certainly has charisma when she has planned speeches and she gets to read off a teleprompter and maybe that thing in her ear. What do you think about that? You think that's legit?
It could be.
You see, the company has responded.
What did they say?
They said they definitely didn't deny it, and they said it looks very close to like what our device is. And go to their website. It might be on their website. They might have. Somebody sent me something, and I just looked at it briefly, and I'm like, oh, this will probably come up today. I want to see it in real time, because whatever the website is of the company that makes that thing, they've apparently addressed it on the website. But if is that illegal?
I don't know if it's illegal, but it's certainly incredibly unethical.
Unethical, for sure. But also, if they pulled that off with ear, amazing.
And it would explain, because she stayed on script really well.
Amazingly well. Amazingly well.
Pretty sure it's their website.
Does it say anything about the presidential debates? The company's definitely responded. Maybe it wasn't their website. Maybe it was social media. What is the name of the company? Okay, Google Nova audio earrings response to presidential debate. Nova audio earrings response to presidential debates.
Sounds like a troll.
It might have been a troll. That's why I wanted to see it in real time to find out what the it is. But see if there's a website where they responded, because I think they did respond. I could find it. I know I saved it. Company says Kamala's earrings strikingly similar to its Bluetooth device. Okay, there it is. Strikingly similar to its Bluetooth device, offers to make ones for Trump. You imagine if Trump starts wearing earrings? First of all, that would never work because you can't tell him what to do.
Yeah, he would never.
He's not going to listen.
It's not going to happen.
He knows he's freeballing. We do not know whether Mrs. Harris wore one of our products. The resemblance is striking, and while our product is not specifically developed for the use at presidential debates, it is nonetheless suited for it. Okay, there you go. Yeah. To ensure a level playing field for both candidates, we are currently developing a male version and will soon be able to offer it to the Trump campaign. The choice of colors is a bit challenging, though, as orange does not go well with a lot of colors. That company's funny. They're funny. That's a funny company. I would buy their
bulletproof earrings for Trump.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean,
how crazy is the conspiracy theory that he didn't actually get shot? That he like cut his ear like a pro wrestler? Like,
yeah, that's another, or that it was shrapnel, which to me would make even less sense. Because yeah, it's a very minor injury because she just got nicked. But if it's shrapnel, you would expect, the marks all over his face.
Right. Or not. The thing is, shrapnel could be a small piece of shrapnel. Shrapnel's not uniform, right? So if it hits a railing, which apparently there is some shot, there's some video footage of, because I think there was 9 shots fired total.
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
Something like that.
Something crazy like that.
What about that, though?
Trump sustained 2-centimeter wide gunshot wound to his ear. Okay. The thing is, ears heal pretty quick.
Yeah, and 2 centimeters, you can't see it
Yeah.
from a
I still have
distance.
holes from when I got my ears pierced.
Oh, yeah, but that's different. That's a hole. This is a scratch. Like ears, like I've gotten my ears f***ed up a bunch of times from jiu-jitsu, and they heal pretty quick. It's foreheads heal quick, ears heal quick. Things around your mouth heal really quick. There's parts of your body that have a lot of blood vessels, and they heal pretty quick. He's old, which is odd for him not to have a scar. But it's not inconceivable that it could just scratch the surface and that would cause a lot of blood. Like if you get a forehead cuts are crazy. It just pours blood down your face. But if you get a cut like on your knee,
Yeah.
it doesn't even drip, You have to have a real cut on your knee to be dribbling blood down your shin. The forehead is filled with blood vessels, as I think are the tips of the ears. So I think it would bleed a lot, and it might be a minor injury that bleeds a lot, and it could heal in a few days.
Also, it wouldn't even if he didn't get hit with a bullet, which he did. But if he didn't, it doesn't make a difference. He still got shot at.
Yeah.
It doesn't change what
And people
happened.
behind him, one guy died,
Yeah.
and other people got grievously injured.
Yeah.
Like terribly injured to the point where it's going to affect them for the rest of their life.
The more bizarre thing about the shooting is that it's only been 2 months since it happened, right? 2 months, or not even 2 months. It's been like a month and a half, and we've moved on like it never happened.
Like it never happened in 2 weeks. In 2
Yeah.
weeks, they stopped talking about
It's had no political impact whatsoever.
Nuts.
He got no polling boost from it. Reagan got like 12 points briefly,
Which just shows you the polls are full of
probably, but
Yeah, full of
they are full of. But also, it would not shock me if, because we're so easily distracted, if people really did just forget and don't care a week later, 2 weeks later.
Well, as long as it's not in the news, and it's not in the news, you don't care about it. Also, there was no press conference, so that's kind of crazy. There was no disclosure of all the information about this young man's prior history, what led him to this. They went to his apartment, and it was professionally scrubbed. There was no silverware in his place. There's also this bizarre thing where there's how they get ad data where you can track where phones have been.
Yeah.
This one phone was going from outside of the FBI office in Washington, D.C. to where this kid is multiple times. So how did this kid get these explosive devices? How did he get up on the roof? How did they not flag him? And you see a guy walking around with a rangefinder a half an hour before the event. That guy is going to jail. Like, what are you talking about? There's 2 reasons for a rangefinder. You're trying to shoot something, or you're using it for golf. Or if you're not playing golf, then you're trying to shoot something. That's the only other reason for a rangefinder.
Yeah, and that was like 3 hours before.
Yeah. They knew about that kid. They were aware that he was there. He somehow or another got on the roof with a rifle. The whole thing sucks. It stinks to high heaven. And then they cremate him. He's gone. They get his body. Someone snatches his body like 5 or 6 days after the event, and 10 days later he's cremated. The whole thing is nuts. Like, who is this kid? Why did he do this? Why did some 20-year-old kid take shots at the president?
Yeah.
Why didn't he have a scope?
This is one where I'm totally open to conspiracy theories, only because there's not even like an official narrative for
Right.
it. They basically told us nothing. So
Right.
we're left to fill in the blanks.
Not only that, think about how perfect it would have been for a plan to assassinate someone. If you do get this lone crazy kid, you give him whatever. I mean, there's been no toxicology examination of his body that's been released, right? So who knows what the this kid's on. If you were going to try to convince someone to go shoot the former president, you'd probably dope him up with some crazy right? And then that would be in his system, and then it would be like be able to trace, okay, how do you get this? Let's talk to all the people that are on his cell phone, all the people that are in his email. Let's investigate and find out where the he got this stuff that he's on when he shoots at the president. You don't hear a peep out of that. So this guy somehow or another figures out how to get on the roof, take these shots, and then they kill him. Now, if he shot and hit Trump, if Trump didn't turn his head at that pivotal moment where they're talking about it, and it's a headshot, Trump is dead, the world's in chaos, and this kid's dead seconds later. And then it's like that. Crazy kid who shoots the president, and that's it. And then, okay, now who's going to run as a Republican? And the world's in chaos.
Yeah.
It would have been a perfect plan if that kid just pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, and I can't I think about I when I do a college speech, we'll have a few security guys there, and there's no way if someone showed up with a rangefinder, they would not get in the building. Anyone that looks vaguely suspicious with any kind of bag is getting flagged. Now I got we got 3 or 4 guys, and I'm just a guy giving a speech at a college. That never would have happened. It could not have happened. They would have flagged, especially 3 hours ahead of time. So how does that happen with the president of the United States or former president? It's impossible to wrap your mind around. It's not like they've come up with some explanation where you could go, okay, well now I can see how that might have happened. Everything we've heard since then just makes you even more confused.
No, it's insane. The whole story is insane, and the fact that it went away is even more insane. And the fact that there was a brief moment where even Biden was saying that we have to stop being so polarized and stop attacking each other and just try to help this country heal. And then, a week later, that guy. That guy's a threat to democracy.
But I also think part of it, the fact that America seems to have moved on is nuts. Mm-hmm. Part of it it's a political mistake. A lot of it's the media. Of course, they have no interest in talking about it. Some of it goes to the Republican Party. I mean, you had the Republican convention, which was like 2 days later. So the timing is nuts. And even at the Republican convention, I just felt like the fact that this guy was almost killed 2 days ago should be like the centerpiece of this thing. I mean, you've got all the cameras on you for 4 days. And so everything you were planning for the convention should change now because of this. And it should take on an extra seriousness, and just the whole tone should change.
Yeah. Because
of this incredible historic event, fist up, fight, the whole thing. And I don't know. They just went to the Republican convention and they started parading around the normal. They had their
Hulk Hogan comes out.
They've got Instagram influencers, and they've got MAGA rappers from YouTube, and it's just like you are not showing us how serious this thing is, and so I think that was a mistake.
Right. Well, I think you only want to address it once, and it's probably he's got a great ability to push things aside, and it's one of the reasons why he didn't age like everybody else ages when they get into the White House. He kind of aged normal. Like he didn't seem any older when he got out as when he got in. He was the same guy. And I think he's got this ability because so many people have hated him for so long, and he gets attacked so often. He knows how to just shut it off and shut it out. And I think he probably did that with the assassination attempt too. It's one.
Man, that one point, I forgot Matt Walsh made that point. I went a little longer than I should have, but Matt Walsh makes a great point. I forgot about that. The RNC really didn't focus on the assassination attempt the way that they should have. Now, what does that show? Does that show that they are just ill-prepared to just adapt at the turn of a dime? Does that show that Trump didn't want it to be a focus on that? Or does it show that maybe some of the Republicans, I don't want to say in on it, but maybe there was a certain class of them that kind of knew what was going on? I don't know. When it comes to something like that, it goes beyond parties, right? That's a deep state thing. And when it comes to deep state, they've penetrated both sides. They've penetrated everything. They've penetrated both sides. They've penetrated the media. They've penetrated Hollywood. They've penetrated hip hop. So it's like a whole thing. And, music industry in general. So I don't know. I don't know what that shows. Why didn't they make that the focus? That should have been the only thing that they spoke about. You know what I mean? Let's move on, though. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm just going to touch on something real quick. Joe just said Kamala Harris has charisma when she's reading something off of a script. That's not how charisma works. That's the opposite of charisma. Charisma is... I'm not going to say me, because right now I'm doing this. There's no script. There's no teleprompter, nothing. But charisma is somebody walks into a room and they say something and they notice a thing and they make a joke and the person laughs, and then they go to the other guy and they do the same thing and everybody feels calm, and now all the attention is directed to that one person. That's charisma. Reading something off of a script and a crowd clapping because they're being prompted to clap at certain times, that's not charisma. That's some manufactured other thing. And then just another thing, Joe's been finding things. Jamie always says that he can't find things. Joe's been pulling out his own phone and being like, I'll find it. And then Jamie finds it. I find that funny. Him saying that the earring company is kind of funny. Yeah, I guess, but not really. Trying to make fun of Trump's color. Jamie is so against Trump. I'll just say that. This is a note that I've noticed. You know, he's like, I still have the holes in my ears, like from a ear piercing. That's not the same thing, Jamie. And then also that there was no press conference. Joe said that. And also, people who had to be in front of Congress had to be subpoenaed to be there. It wasn't just they were asked. They said no. They had to be subpoenaed and forced in front of Congress. That says a lot in my opinion as well. Let's get into Tucker Carlson, JD Vance. JD Vance approaches this from a whole different perspective. Listen to this.
Would be a lot of Americans would say, holy shit, we've got to get back to the guy who knows how to manage the world, not the person who's so incompetent that she blundered us into this conflict in the first place. But I mean, look, man, like, who knows, by the way, it's shocking how little we know about the guy who shot Donald Trump in the head. I mean, weeks later, months later, we still have no idea. We allegedly have no idea what the guy's real motive is. But do I think that they are going to do increasingly crazy things to try to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president? Yes. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. I think we have to be prepared for it. And we just have to do everything we can to make sure he wins.
Last question, and it's to what you just said. Trump gets shot in front of everybody live on TV, and the media, bury it. But there's also, you would think, a process in place to find out what exactly was that.
Yeah.
Who was the person who did it? Why did he do it? Why was he allowed to do it? Is that process underway? I never hear Trump talk about it. I never hear you talk about it. Like, when are we going to find out what that was?
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason why we don't talk about it that much is because we recognize that Kamala Harris runs the administration right now. And do we trust Kamala Harris's Department of Justice to really investigate this stuff? I mean, I don't. I don't think the president does either. But there needs to be a real investigation into this stuff. I think it's bizarre that we don't know anything about the guy's motive, though I've heard, various rumors. We don't really know anything about the guy's motive. I think there clearly were some very serious security breakdowns. Some of my colleagues in the Senate have done a good job of pointing this stuff out. But unless you have an administration that's willing to cooperate, you can't actually do this stuff. And I think he'd be much better at sniffing out what's going on with all these security breakdowns. But I think so. This should be actually a media scandal. Okay, so Kamala Harris is running against Donald Trump for president. Kamala Harris runs the government right now. And Donald Trump came within millimeters of having his life taken by a massive security breakdown. She should be using every lever of power to force insight and to force some sunlight into what's actually been going on here. What breakdown happened? The fact that she's totally uninterested in it, I think is a real scandal. Her political opponent nearly got killed, and she has not used her government to actually investigate why or what security breakdowns led to him almost getting killed. The media and everybody else should be really pissed off about this because she could be doing much more than she's doing right now.
But it suggests like a level of darkness that's hard for me to accept. I mean, what is that?
I mean, I don't know, right? Is it incompetence? Is it that she doesn't want to get to the bottom of it? Is it that if a story comes out that this guy was a left-wing radical, does it help Donald Trump? And so she wants to hide the motive? Like, there are so many different explanations here for what could be going on. But look, man, I'm a realist. Do I think that we're going to find out what actually happened in Bucks County, Pennsylvania before the election? No, I don't, because every incentive that exists in our government right now is to hide it, is to suppress it, is to lie about it, is to cover up for various people's failures. And because of that, look, man, I just don't think we're going to learn a whole lot about it. We're going to try. And my Senate, again, Ron Johnson's a great friend of mine, great Senate colleague, does a very good job. I know he is obsessed with trying to get to the bottom of the security failure. Like, how did the guy get with an AR-15 130 yards from the president, which, as you know, that is like a pot shot, right? That's a layup for an AR-15. It's shocking in some ways that President Trump didn't lose his life, but the fact that we're not more focused on the security breakdowns that led to that in the first place, look, man, it's bizarre, it's dark, and I think, unfortunately, we're not going to learn a whole lot about it until November.
And the problem is that, like so many American young people in their 20s, he had no social media profile whatsoever.
Yeah.
He never went online.
Never went online. Never went online and never said anything publicly. And he was basically a ghost.
Yeah.
A ghost who just so happened to nearly kill the future president of the United States. And yeah, man, it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird.
JD Vance, Senator JD Vance, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Man, very, very interesting. You know, obviously, so much of what's going on in the government And let's be real, when it was Biden versus Trump, the focus was on Biden and how much he's messed up. And now the focus has moved on to Kamala because she is the one saying, when I'm elected, I'll change all this. Biden wasn't even saying that really. He knew better than to say that. She's saying that a whole lot. So now the focus is very much on her and they're pointing things like this out. But the thing is, this is very true. Why isn't the Biden-Harris administration going all out to figure this thing out? Because here's the thing, not just for Trump. What if that guy's plan was to get Trump and then get Biden? What if that's what it was his plan? I mean, they said on certain, I think they saw his phone and they saw that he did research on Biden and he did research on Trump. So what if his plan was to get both of them? Wouldn't you want to know about that? What if now that there's another elect that's been installed right before our eyes by this deep state machine? What if now his plan is to go after her? Like, you know what I mean? You'd think that they want to figure this whole thing out and that they would be as transparent as possible, because the thing about it is, it would do nothing but good for her. If she came out, press conference, and said, I'm running against Donald Trump, but let me tell you something, what happened to him is unacceptable, and I won't accept it. And Donald, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to figure out what happened. I'm going to make sure that you get answers for you and your family. Could you imagine she said that? We'd all be like, oh, you'd have no choice but to applaud and go, okay, that's pretty decent of her. But every opportunity she's had to be decent and normal, she says, get out of here. We're doing an interview. I want my vice president there. Sit with me, Tim. Let's talk about nonsense. Every single time she's like, I'm doing a rally. Hey. She's like pushing one of her aides. Hey, I'm going to do a black voice today. Yeah, I am. Shh. It's going to be fantastic. Hey, y'all. Every single time she has the opportunity to be normal, she just throws it away. She's like, I don't need this normal shit. Get out of here. I'm Kamala. Takes a swig, big flask, swishes it around in her mouth, says, let's get out there. We have no proof that she's drunk, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Can't be like that. I can tell you one thing, though. If I was installed by the deep state, I'd be drunk all the time, too. Just being honest. I'd be lit 24/7. I'd be drinking in the back. Colin, you can't be drinking. Huh? What's that? What do you mean? What? You guys are going to cheat anyway. What the? We're drinking this. Tim, bang it back with me. Bang it back with me, Tim. Come on. 1, 2, 3, tampons. Where's my speech? This is not serious. Come on. We already got it in the bag, no? Anyway, it is very interesting what JD Vance brought up. I never thought of it from that perspective. And again, what does it show? What does it show? You can't say for sure, but you know what everybody's thinking as I say, what does it show? Some kind of guilt, some kind of cahoots, some kind of plan behind the scenes. Maybe this kid wasn't crazy. Joe Rogan says he was cremated. Maybe it was to hide something in his blood that was high grade, lab grade, perhaps. I don't know. I have no idea. YouTube, I brought up a lab. I'm not talking about that thing, YouTube. Okay, just relax. Relax, YouTube. I wasn't talking about that thing. I'm talking about another thing. I'm talking about MK Ultra. YouTube, I won't say anymore. I'm sorry. My apologies to the Google overlords, but who knows? It's a very odd thing. And I've already done an episode on this, but his father is lawyered up. His father has lawyered up because now there is this, I don't know what to say, this storyline of his father actually knew what was going on and somehow he had a hand in it. That's like the alleged story that people are forming because he's lawyered up so much. Because one point that people tend to bring up is if the kid always went to the range and he always took some kind of firearm to the range, why on this day did his father report it? If that's what your son does, you're seeing that there's a firearm missing from the house, you know he goes to the range, you'd be like, he just went to the range. But this day, for some reason, he was like, let's report all this. It's very interesting. Now, forgive me for those that have already seen this. This is Melania Trump, and she's also asking questions. And I'm going to be real. This is the first time I've seen her say sentences.
The attempt to end my husband's life was a horrible, distressing experience. Now, the silence around it feels heavy. I can't help but wonder, why didn't law enforcement officials arrest the shooter before the speech? There is definitely more to this story, and we need to uncover the truth. The attempt to end my husband's life was a horrible, distressing experience.
Very interesting that she says this, because what does this actually mean? Is this just a video she's putting out? Is she about to actually take a step towards working on this in some kind of way? I don't know, but she's asking questions. JD Vance, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Matt Walsh, they're all still asking questions. And I think people should, because this is 2 times in a month and a half. There's no way, and I've already said this, there's no way you'll get me to think it was 2 crazy people. I don't care how crazy the rhetoric is that they say about Trump. There's no way 2 people are getting as close as they have to a former president and someone running for president. There's no way you're going to make me believe it's just 2 crazy people. There's no way. I don't care if they call Donald Trump Megatron. I don't care what they call him. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. 100%. Like Matt Walsh said, he does things at colleges, different venues, and something like that would never happen with him, with his small security team. We're talking about the Secret Service that Trump has access to. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to bring you guys that information. And, what did you think about what JD Vance had to say? Do you think JD Vance is onto something there? I think he really is. This should be a scandal. Why hasn't she come out? Why was there no press conference? And here's the last thing I'll leave you with. Joe has brought this up a couple of times. He brings it up, but like real quick, because it's a little too much for him. He puts on a tinfoil hat. Over here, we got tinfoil Speedos. So I'm ready to go deep. He always brings up the fact that in that first assassination attempt, CNN was live streaming it. And I've checked, and you can check, they never live stream any Trump events. They did none. They didn't live stream any. And then, because it's Trump saying things off the cuff, what if he goes on a rant about CNN? So they don't want to do that. They might have somebody there and film it and edit it the way they want and do X, Y, Z, but they never just live stream it the way they did. Then that terrible event happens and they never live stream any events afterwards. I don't know. The least trusted name in news decides to live stream something and they never do it again. Seems a little odd. But anyways, guys, the tinfoil Speedo's filling up with water here. Anyway, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, helps us tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.